excited about Manifest 31 coming back, and we're just continuing where we left off at. And I am excited to introduce this beautiful young woman, Anna Forcier. She has been someone that I've met. I want to say that was like, I originally met you like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
And from there, it was just an instant ability to just have an open conversation, open dialogue about life. And it was, as you know, coworkers and colleagues, and being able to build the opportunity we could just have that openness was so inspiring to me. And when I thought about Manifest 31 continuing into, who would be on the different episodes, I just couldn't think of a better person than you. And then I couldn't also think of a better person because last year I wrote it down and it came to fruition this year. So I'm super, super excited about it. And we're just kind of going to jump into it. That's cool with you.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. All right. So first and foremost, we ask it to everybody, but what does manifestation mean to you?
Sure. So where I work, we have these isms, because you used to work with me. And one of them is you'll see it when you believe it. And when I think of manifestation, I think of that ism, because when you want something and you set a goal or you set an intention and you really believe in it, you'll start to see those things happen, right? So like, for example, with me, I really truly believe that I could get better with my mental health, right? I set that intention. I set that intention with a therapist that I had, and I took those steps with her to better my PTSD, which I actually no longer have, because I set that intention, and we worked extremely hard for that to happen. And I'm here now, and I feel as though I manifested that.
Come on. I think one thing that just stood out to me that you said was you got to believe it. Like, for it to come to fruition, whatever that may be, whatever your goal may be, you have to believe it, because everybody else can believe in it. Everybody else, like your therapist, can believe in it. But if you don't truly believe in it, you can't move forward. It can't come to life. And I commend you for setting that goal, being intentional with it, and also saying, okay, that's not something I don't no longer have that. That part is gone. But it took some work.
A lot of hard work, yes. But I was set on it. So I did the work. Thank you.
So we know a little bit about you. We know that I worked with you. We know that you are conquering goals out here and manifesting mental health. But who is Anna Forcier? Who is she?
So this one's really hard for me. I feel like I'm always changing and always getting better and like kind of changing the way I think about things. But I also think I'm like a lot of things. Like, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt of a 4-year-old. I'm a friend. I also think that I'm very passionate, I'm very caring and loving, I'm very dedicated, and I'm highly, highly motivated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also an advocate for mental health, and I'm also an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm also a certified personal trainer who's plus sized and super body positive. And my goal in life is just to help as many people as I can. That's me.
Wow. Okay, let's back it up. So besides being a daughter, being a sister, aunt, it sounds like you're also someone that took a lead in saying, okay, I don't have to limit myself to things. I don't have to limit myself to, I have to meet this criteria, or I have to meet this criteria. And one thing that I want to kind of point out on top of being a mental health advocate, you just said it yourself, was a certified personal trainer that's plus size. So encouraging body image and saying, hey, I don't have to look like this to be aware of my health, to be aware of my body.
Yeah. I don't think people should be put in boxes. And a lot of times, like when you're like a personal trainer, right, you're put in this box where you have to look a certain way, right? But that's not true. You can look whatever way you want to look and personal train people. I have all of the education, I have all the knowledge, but because of the way I look, people might not take me seriously, and I'm not here for that. So.
Oh, come on. I'm not here for that. Okay. I totally dropped the mic on that one. I'm not here for that. I love it. I love it because you get to set the tone and you're not letting anybody else set the tone. So I'm going to kind of go in between both those things, mental health advocate and a personal trainer, but I'm kind of going to go to the mental health first. So why did you decide to become a mental health advocate?
Yeah. So this is kind of more my personal story, right? So I am a survivor of sexual assault, and that trauma resulted in me being diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, and severe anxiety. And I struggled so much with that for a couple years that I actually tried to commit suicide. Sorry, I lost my spot there.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, yeah. This one's hard for me to talk about.
It's okay. Take your time. Take your time. It's not something that I want you to rush through, because as other people are watching this, it's a part of your life. But the one topic we when we were going back and forth, like, what should we title this, right? Like, what should we title this? Is stronger than my past. And sometimes strength, it doesn't mean that, oh, I got it all together. I can talk about any and everything. It doesn't affect me. No, it means that you don't allow it to limit you and to put you in a box anymore. And I think you kind of stated that earlier, like you manifested so many things because you didn't allow it to stop you, and you are stronger. So anybody watching this, we want to hear you. We want to give you that space because you matter.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just gonna kind of start over from some of that, my more personal stories. So I advocate for mental health because I am a survivor of sexual assault, and that trauma resulted in being diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, and severe anxiety. And I struggled with that so much over, a couple of years that I actually tried to commit suicide. So now my goal is to help others that are kind of going through something like that, to let them know that they are not alone, and that they're not a burden, and there are people out there that care about them, and that suicide does not have to be their option. So that's kind of where I'm at, is just helping people who felt the way that I felt, because I understand it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thank you for sharing that part of you, because that's not easy, especially, and then the consequence of coming with PTSD, anxiety, major depressive, these things wasn't just something you had all along. This came from the situation that spiraled. And I just want to talk to you, and then we talked about with suicide as well, that feeling of burden. And that's something we hear a lot when it comes to suicide. Sometimes people, including myself at times, I felt like I was a burden. I felt like I didn't want to share what was wrong. I sometimes thought it was my fault if I was feeling that way. Can you share the support or relationships that helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my family, for one, huge support for me. My sister, after I had told her what had happened, she immediately was like, well, what can we do? What's going to make you better? And like, at the time she didn't know what to do. So just asking those questions was like super helpful, but she ended up like taking me on a vacation. She was like, let's go. Like, you need to do this. Like, so just like doing those little things to try to help me, even though she didn't really know. Right. And it didn't matter at the time that she didn't know what to do. It's just the fact that she was willing to jump in and help right away. Right. And then my mom, she did a ton of research on how to try to fix me, which maybe not be the right thing. However, again, she was really, really trying. She wanted to make sure that I was okay. And that was her way of doing that. Right. So I think those two people in my family were the biggest help for me. And then just like my friends, I have very few close friends, and those were the close friends that got me through a lot of what I was going through. It's not always easy for me to tell my family my feelings, but my friends are always here to listen to and not judge any of the feelings that I had. That really, really helps me is they were just an ear. They didn't want to try to fix me. They just wanted to listen to me and let me get out anything that I needed to get out. And that was so helpful for me.
Having that support sometimes can be super vital, and having people that step in, sometimes they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to, or the word, like you said, you can't necessarily fix somebody, but someone that's willing to say, I'm here, and I'm here to research with you. I'm here to just be there with you, to listen to you. For someone who, let's say they don't have that support. And I know this is just a random question that came to me, but like for those who may not have that support, how would you say that you work on yourself internally, and then what other support could they reach out to?
Yeah, so the biggest support outside of like family and friends, therapy. I went to therapy a lot. I still go to therapy a lot. I think that was probably the biggest thing that helped me. But outside of that, I picked up hobbies that made me feel good. I quickly realized that being in nature was super soothing to me. So like if I was having anxiety at night or something, or like I couldn't sleep, I would go for a walk outside and like take my dog and I'd be like, we're going for a walk. And I would just go outside and I would just like listen to anything that was around me and just like breathe in the air, like fresh air and just whatever. And then I also picked up reading. And reading was a way for me to kind of like block out what maybe I was feeling or like thinking at the time. And that was kind of like a coping mechanism for me, was just to kind of block it out, which isn't always great, but in the times that I was really struggling, it was super helpful for me. So I would just pick up a book and like kind of go into a different world, right? And like just live in that world for a minute so that I don't have to, be super stressed and anxious and depressed in this world. So that was really, really helpful for me as well.
It sounds like it was like learning what worked for you.
Yes, it's different for everyone. Everyone's path is going to be different. You just have to find what works for you.
I enjoy this. You said just getting the dog and say we're going for a walk. Like we're going out.
In the middle of the night, she's like, I don't want to go for a walk. I'm like, we're going for a walk. We're
going out. We're going out today. Like that's so funny. So many times I would do like maybe not the walk thing, but like with no, I'm like, so like let's go play. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go play. So what is some advice would you give someone? I know you kind of talked about the importance of therapy, finding things that was important to you, but is there any other advice you would give to someone who's struggling with their mental health right now?
I mean, I'm always going to say this, but you're never alone. Never. There's always someone that is there to listen to you, or someone who has gone through something similar. There's always someone to talk to you and to help you. And I always tell people this, even if you don't know me, like you can come talk to me. Like I know what it's like. I know what it's like to go through things, and I'm more than willing to talk to literally anybody. So if you don't have someone, I will be your someone. Like there's always going to be someone out there for you. But I also just kind of like I'm saying, like telling your story to someone else, and like having them realize that, oh yes, she actually does realize what I'm going through. It might not be the exact same situation, because it never is. But like you kind of have those same feelings, and like the similar things are happening to you, right? Similar feelings and thoughts and emotions are happening to you. So sometimes like they need more than just those words though. So I don't know, it's just like relatable, right? Like you can relate to me and I can relate to you. So it's more than telling someone that you're not alone, right? Because those are just words, but like sharing and and I think is way more impactful. I think that anyone has a story. They don't have to go like through a trauma to have a story, right? Like everyone kind of goes through some sort of stress or maybe a depressive episode. Like it happens. It's like I said, you're not alone, right? Like everyone kind of goes through something. So it doesn't have to be a serious trauma for you to talk to someone about it and like try to be relatable to someone. So just always try to, I don't know, just be relatable. People will listen to you, and it'll help. It really does help when people tell me their story, and I'm just like, oh, I get that. Like it really does tell you that you're not alone.
Yeah. And this is definitely a question that just kind of came to my mind, was vulnerability. Like sharing your story means that you are being vulnerable, and that can be scary for someone. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that and how to not let that vulnerability become a fear? Or if it is a fear, how do you overcome it?
Sure. I don't know. I never had a problem with this. I don't know why. And I think it might kind of stem from the fact that I've always just wanted to help people like my whole life. That's just been my goal. And something really bad happened to me. And instead of like, I mean, I did let it get me down at times, right? But instead of really letting it, once I kind of bounced back, I realized that, oh, I can use this moment to help other people, and being vulnerable and like telling someone my story will literally help save a life. So if I'm like afraid to be vulnerable or like don't want to share my story, it could be costing someone else their life. Like, I know that's kind of like sounds super serious, but I really truly believe that me sharing things and like telling them what I've been through and could literally stop someone from taking their own life. I really truly believe that I can get over being vulnerable to help someone else.
So realizing that vulnerability could not only change your life, but change somebody else's life. And it sounds like it's also a release too, of no longer having to hold it in, and not being ashamed of it. Whatever the case may be, it could be, and it doesn't have to necessarily be something that, like you said, of a trauma. It could be vulnerability of something good too, right? Because sometimes we want to hold in our dreams and our good things. It's like, well, what would you do with it if I told you? Like, so I appreciate that. And as we've been talking, we talked a lot about what are some things people could do, whether it's some different coping mechanisms or therapy, and having that vulnerability of sharing their story. But let's talk about society. So even though suicide is something that you hear more often, it's still taboo. It's still like, if I don't see it, I'm not going to really talk about it. If I don't hear about it, I'm not going to really talk about it. But it's still happening today. People are still losing loved ones, and people are feeling not enough. And even though it is an increase, I would definitely say that this pandemic, there has been more awareness around mental health than I've seen in a really, really long time. It's still prevalent that situations and things are still going on that are impacting people. What are some things that you are, enjoying, or not even saying enjoying, but see going on in society that you would say is a positive in advocacy? And what are some things that you wish you would see more of?
So I like seeing things like the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They're out there doing walks, they're raising awareness, they're advocating for suicide prevention policies, and all those other foundations out there that are doing similar work. Like, I love to see that. I feel like that's super awesome, and it really is making an impact. I think what I would like to see, I don't know if this exists actually, but it might, but I feel like it does not. But I would love to see like some sort of like mental health class in schools.
Oh, yeah.
Like where kids will learn about what mental health is, the different like the different mental health illnesses that there are, signs and symptoms of mental illness and how to deal with it. and then how they can help others deal with it. And then they can also learn like healthy coping mechanisms. And I also think there should be an emphasis on the LGBTQ plus community with mental health as well. I think that would be amazing. I did not learn about that in school, and like it's been a while since I've been in school, so that might exist, but I don't think it does. And I think that starting at a young age and learning about those things can really help you throughout your life. And kids bring home things to their parents, right? So they can teach their parents, they can teach their, other family members, friends, things like that. So I think starting young and learning about those things and continuing that education would be really cool.
I totally agree. I know there are a couple organizations that are now getting more involved in schools and doing trainings not only for children and parents, and I'll drop some links for people, but I think that's also like, because that's not everywhere. That's just some places. That's not something that's like standard, that this is a part of our curriculum. And I totally agree. Because I didn't really know what mental health was until probably even after college. I didn't really know. I didn't know what a therapist was. I didn't know any of those things until like after college, or right before it ended. And it was just like, and I'm just like, wow, was that what I was feeling? Was that depression? What were the things and emotions I was going through? And I think it's very powerful that you said that, like, starting at a young age, you get to continue that learning.
Yeah, I think if I would have learned that at a young age, I'm might be like a whole different better person, right? Like I would have taken care of myself a little bit better, I think. And I think that's super important, is self-care. Self-care and mental health really go hand in hand. And I think that learning about that and like taking care of myself at a young age and all the way up till now, like would have been so helpful, because now I know about those things and now I do those things and I feel so much better, right? And like everyone wants to feel good, so why not learn to feel good when you're young?
Come on. I'm excited just to hear you and see and just see the glow from you. Because I recently saw that you became certified as a personal trainer. So it's like you're manifesting your dreams. You're stronger than everything that you have been through in your past because you decided to be stronger.
Absolutely. I definitely did. I did not want that situation to hold me back to do the things that I wanted. There's a quote, I can't think of it specifically, but it's basically like, don't let your past experiences like stop you from doing what you're doing today, because it doesn't define you. So, and I think that was really hard for me to learn, that the trauma that I went through felt like it defined me, but then I learned that it didn't. And I was like, well, I'm not going to let this stop me from doing the things that I want to do and helping other people. So, and I didn't. So here I am.
Come on. I'd be excited.
But I do want to just say, and I said this earlier, it took a lot of hard work. Like it didn't just happen. I wasn't just like, I'm going to do this thing. No, like I went through a lot of stuff to get to where I am today and to make all of these things happen. It did not happen overnight. It's been a journey of about 6 years for me. And I get better every time. I get better every year. I mentioned I don't have PTSD anymore. It took 6 years for me not to have PTSD anymore. That's not the case for everyone. Like I said, also, like it's a different path for every person, but you have to work hard to get there.
I appreciate that you said that it wasn't overnight. It wasn't overnight. It took hard work, and it possibly took some times where you even doubted yourself, or those emotions kind of took over sometimes. But being reminded by either loved ones or friends or your therapist, but even specifically yourself, that you are worth being here, you are worth getting through this, and you will. And I am so grateful that I got the opportunity to meet you when I did. And us having the opportunity to talk about like real life, like life, not sometimes, it's hard. Like life is
it is hard.
Yes. And it's a journey. And each moment that we get the opportunity to kind of connect with a genuine soul, that's willing to say, hey, you know what, you're not alone. Hey, I'm proud of you. Even if it's the itty bittiest step, y'all. I'm talking about like even if it's like just you would that's okay. Having somebody that's rooting for that itty bitty step, because it's hard. It's hard in any capacity. And like you said, 6 years didn't come by like this. Those 6 years you had to get through. And you didn't just get through, but you grew through it. You grew through those years too.
Major growth. Yes, absolutely. I can just share a quick story about my therapy sessions. So we call my current self Badass 2.0.
Okay.
So I started, I have felt like that I've always been a badass. Like I've always felt that about myself. But then like I said, trauma hit and it, you know, maybe wasn't so badass anymore, right? But I have grown into this different person who is now an even better badass than I was before. So we call me 2.0.
Okay, Miss 2.0. Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay, look, I might have to get on the tip. All right, y'all not ready for Take Forward 2.0. I'm gonna just tell y'all right. Okay. I love that. I love that. So as we wrap this up, and I'm thankful for your time, you sharing a part of you, and just being open with this. Is there anything that you want to share before we end, or anything you want to kind of give advice to, or let people know like this is your space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna reiterate that you're not alone and you're never alone. And I'll say it again. If you don't have someone, I will be your someone. Take and drop my social handles in the description, and anyone can reach out to me at any time. I have come to be the person who helps people find a therapist. That's like kind of my thing these days. So if that's what you need help with, I'm more than happy to help you with that, because I'm not a therapist and I can't get you to, you know, maybe being where I am today, right? But I can help you find someone who can.
Come on.
So, but yeah, find that someone that can help you through these things, and find that coping mechanism that can help you through these things. And yeah, just you're not alone. You really, really aren't.
And then if anyone want to reach out, could they also reach out to the social media handles for your certified personal training as well?
Yeah, so you can just find me on Instagram at Anna Forcier. You can just DM me and I can give you any information that you need. I don't have any like official personal trainings at the moment, but online training will be coming soon.
Look, what we say, believe in manifestation.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what's happening here. I love it.
Awesome. All right. So again, I am super thankful. Everyone, again, like if you want to reach out to Anna, you can reach her. I'm gonna drop the social media handles in the description. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. So you can, if you need to reach out to me, like, hey, I missed it still. Just tell me. But thank you. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for being authentically you.
Thank you for having me here. This was great. I love sharing. So anytime.
All right, bye.